We have Director of Athletics David Williams. He's going to make a brief introductory comment, and then he'll be glad to take your questions.
Thank you, and thank you all for coming. As you know, yesterday morning, or yesterday sometime afternoon, Pitt, University of Pittsburgh announced that Kevin Stallings would be their new head football coach. Kevin spoke to me about 3 hours before that, very, very early Sunday morning, and told me he had been offered the job and was going to take it. Pitt had reached out to us earlier, maybe Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday, to ask permission, or in our world to basically let us know the right way in which to do this, and they did do that. Our general position is we don't stand in the way of people talking, and so we were aware that they were talking to Coach Stallings. And I had talked to Coach Stallings, so as always, as Coach Stallings always has done, he did everything above board and in the open as it relates to us. I want to thank Coach Stallings, as I did in our statement, for his 17 years here. That in and of itself, as we said, is remarkable to be 17 years anywhere in this business. He was a great coach. People may not want to agree with me. I think he was a great guy. He ran a wonderfully clean program. He took us to 7 NCAA tournaments, 2 Sweet 16s, 2 NIT appearances, won an SEC championship, the first one in basketball. We've won in 60 years. We never had problems with his kids. His kids graduated and did well in school. And so we are indebted to Coach Stallings for his service to this university, and we wish him nothing but the best. We have already begun a national search for our next men's head basketball coach. We will use Eddie Fogler as a consultant. We will not hire a search firm as we've done in football, but we'll use Eddie Fogler as a consultant. We decided to use Eddie. Eddie was a former basketball coach here, as many of you know. He understands that aspect of Vanderbilt. Eddie also had a son that was a student athlete here, who's graduated and played golf for us, so he understands Vanderbilt. And I've been on the phone to Eddie about 3 times a day, and he's already at work, hard at work for us. We'll do a search. We'll try to do it in effective time. I never like to put speed ahead of quality. I've had a long conversation with our chancellor. Our chancellor will be a part of the search, interviews, and decision-making, as he has been with our last 2 football searches. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
So is it your intention for Kevin to be your basketball coach next season? Had somebody not asked?
I have never said anything to the contrary.
Have you, what type of parameters have you given Eddie Fogler of this is the box of that we would want a head coaching experience, college experience? What parameters?
Yeah, I think that we're really looking at someone with head coaching experience. I don't know if we'll isolate it to college experience, but certainly head coaching experience. We consider Vanderbilt to be a very special place. And one of the reasons we're going to use Eddie is I think that this is a place that not only do you think about coaching experience, but you also think about fit. This is not the right place for everybody. And so we do spend a lot of time making sure people understand what Vanderbilt is about and what Vanderbilt expects. And so we'll keep working through this, and we'll look at people, and people will move up and people will move down. I can tell you already, and I know you'll ask for names, and I won't give any, so, but we probably had over 125 names thrown out. I will give you one. Okay? My cousin from Birmingham, who has a chicken store, called me and offered the name of one of his cooks. He will not be hired.
What is the expectation from a winning standpoint for the new coach?
To win.
Is there going to be an amount of tournament success or deep tournament success? Or
I
SEC
think
success?
the way we evaluate is that, and it would be wrong for me to say this is the standard that you have to meet. I mean, those things are really a byproduct of a lot of different things. And, there's great coaches out there that didn't have good years this year because they might have had an injury, a key injury. And so what we do is we evaluate, we assess and evaluate. And so We're not going to sit here and say you have to do A, B, C, D, or you're gone. But we will say our expectation is to win. Our expectation is to win the right way. Our expectation is to graduate student athletes. Our expectations is to run a clean program. But our expectations is to win.
David, how prepared were you for this? There were a lot of conversations, even I think Kevin's name was linked to the St. Louis job a week or so ago. I mean, did you think this could be on your table at some point coming up here, or was Sunday morning the first you thought I might have a coaching position?
I don't think St. Louis, I think St. Louis was a rumor. Coach Stallings heard the rumors and made sure that we understood that no one from St. Louis had contacted him. No one had contacted him about St. Louis, and that he just wanted us to know that. And so, this is a business where you are always ready, and you probably are never ready enough. I mean, but you always have to be ready, no matter what the case is, because if you have good coaches, people are going to be interested in them. It's hard for me to remember a year where there wasn't a school that was not interested in Kevin Stallings. And so you always try to prepare yourself for that. And, you watch a lot of games, you talk a lot, you look at coaches. And, I just met with the players and explained to them, it's not the thing you wake up every morning wanting to do, but it's part of the job.
What would you say you have to be ready? Do you keep sort of a list of, these are guys that I want to keep in mind if I ever get to this situation, or are you using any?
I'm going to answer that the same way I was answering football. Somebody asked me that, and I said, that's like asking me, do I have a list of women I'm going to marry if my wife dies?
So do you use, so you're using Eddie Fogler to identify candidates for you, not, I mean, you're not giving him a list and saying, will you vet these guys for me? You want him
As we've done before, I've given some names to Eddie, and Eddie's given us some names, and as I said, everybody, including my cousin in Birmingham, has sent names, and I'll send all those names to Eddie and say, Eddie, what do you think about my cousin's cook? But no, we give names, he gives names, and trust me, I'm sure before the week is out, some of you all will give me names.
David, what would you say to fans who think that after 17 years of Kevin Stallings, it was time for a change for this program? Not that Kevin wasn't somebody you admired and liked, but 17 years is a long time.
You asked me a question of what do I say to fans about that? I think fans have a right to their opinion.
Where would you like to see improvements in the basketball team going forward, basketball program?
I think that there are things that we want to maintain and the things that we want to get better at. And I think if you ask anybody, everybody wants to do better than they could. If you were 28-3, you probably wanted to be 31-0. So obviously we won 19 games last year. We'd like to win more. We'd like to go further in the NCAA tournament. I think those things are obvious, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we have good kids who are good Vanderbilt students, and they graduate.
Fans look at different candidates and say that person would get me excited in terms of marketing the program and all that. How much does that matter in choosing a coach?
Well, I think it has a factor in it. I mean, I think that we always try to look at what we need at any point in time, and certainly our marketing people will be involved in vetting some of this stuff. What will be the right strategy to market, but obviously marketing is part of it because it is a sport in which we are concerned about making sure that we sell tickets. So marketing is
But
important.
the personality of the coach matters, though, in terms of their interaction with fans.
Oh, yeah.
Can you kind of tell us a little about the dynamic with which you used Coach Fogler? You say, give some names and he'll give you some names. Like, is he actually like going out and like physically talking to people? Can you kind of tell us how that works with
Certainly
him?
hope so.
Yeah. I mean, so he'll travel, he'll meet with guys, he's basically your guy out in the field doing the legwork.
He's doing some of the legwork. I mean, we'll do some too, but Eddie knows people in the business, and Eddie knows people and knows people who know people. And so yeah, we expect Eddie, and we've had the long talk, and yeah, Eddie will be doing a lot of legwork for us, but we'll be doing some also.
You've hired 2 African American football coaches. How big a factor is diversity in your mind in this search?
Hire best coach. Bring me a green, blue, yellow, black, white, I don't care, best coach. I will not hire somebody for some reason, but I'll hire the best coach that we think is possible.
The list that Eddie may have for you guys is maybe similar list to a lot of other schools. How do you gauge speed with they may take our coach before we take him? Do you monitor that?
Yeah, we always watch that, and, Georgia Tech is open, and I'm sure they're looking. I don't know if they've made a decision, if they haven't followed it in the last 2 hours, but Georgia Tech is open. Stanford hired their coach. So, we'll keep an eye on it. And, I think that what you'll find is there are people, the other side of this, and obviously you don't have any idea, and I don't have any idea of who all of those people are, but there are coaches out there that are trying to gauge that same thing. They're trying to figure out, do I have a chance at Vanderbilt before I take the interview at State U? And so it is a sort of a maiden sort of situation. We got to move efficiently. We can't just sit around here, and we won't, and we have already started that. But I'm not going to really worry about what's happening somewhere else. We'll play it in our time, and we'll get it to basketball.
What number, if any, do you anticipate in terms of formal interviews? 3, 5, 2?
Yeah, when you say a formal interview, there's, by saying formal interview, that would suggest there may be informal interviews. And what's an informal interview? If I happen to be at the Final Four, is that a formal interview? Is that an informal interview? When you get down to formal, if you talk about, okay, you are a serious candidate, and we're going to bring you in, we're going to meet you somewhere to talk to a few people, and like I said, the chancellor will be involved and some others. I would probably say you're probably not looking at more than 5 or 6.
So who gets the final say of the coach, who the coach is, or who has veto power in that?
We kind of just all sit around and at the same time come up with, this is the one.
You and the chancellor, the two?
Well, me and the chancellor, we'll talk about if anybody else should be in there, but right now it's the chancellor. Let's put it that way, the chancellor and me, not me and the chancellor, the chancellor.
Well, if you get down to your final couple of guys and it becomes like a money issue, one guy commands more than the other, will money be an issue in this? Can it be an issue? You prepared to spend as much as it takes?
I'm not going to answer that in the affirmative. I'll just be giving my hand. We will hire a good basketball coach, and we are prepared to do what we think is necessary.
For fans that sit there and say and look at money and say Vanderbilt doesn't pay coaches, true or untrue, for fans that say that, what would your response be?
They know more than me then. I don't know how they know that, because we don't release those salaries. And guess what? I know exactly what we pay them, and guess what? I know exactly what everybody else pays. So I know where we fit. And I got members of my staff here who know that. And so I think that fans that believe we don't pay market, keep believing it ain't true.
David, we don't know your contract situation for the same reason. Can you go out and search and hire a coach with the understanding that I'm here long term for you?
You mean, am I here?
Are you here long term for your new coach?
Oh. I don't know how to answer that in the sense that I plan to be here. But I'm not going to take another job and go anywhere. But a lot of that has to do with people above me. One, my boss. There's a supreme being that might have some issues for me. I don't know. My staff might revolt and drag me out and beat me or something. I don't know. But I'm not planning to go anywhere. So yeah, I'm planning to be here.
David, you said fans are entitled to their opinion in terms of whether it was time for a change. What's your opinion on that? Is this a sad couple of days for you to see Kevin go, or are you happy for him to move on to a new chapter and a new chapter for Vanderbilt basketball?
I'm happy for Kevin if that's what Kevin wanted to do, and Kevin had indicated it was a job he was interested in, so I'm happy for him. I think, like I said, I know Kevin ran an extremely clean program, and that's very important to us. I think he was a successful coach. But I do think, at times it's time. And I think that he felt it was a good time to make that move. As you said, some of the fans felt that way. You always have a sense of sadness when you see somebody that's part of your family leave. And Kevin and his family were part of our family. However, I do understand the business part of this, and our job is to provide a good basketball coach. And so, Kevin's not the first coach that's left, and I'm sure he won't be the last. And we will go on and we'll find a good basketball coach. But as far as I'm concerned, Kevin Stallings put in 17 years here, and that will not be forgotten and should not be forgotten.
David, as far as the team's going now, who's kind of running things, making sure everything's going all right?
Well, we still have all of our assistant coaches here, and I'll be meeting with them directly after this. We have our sports administrator, we have our strength coaches, we have our academic, everybody's still over there. I don't know if Kevin is thinking about offering any of those coaches. Like I said, I'll talk to them right after this, but they're basically moving the ship, and then all of us are around.
Can you also confirm there's a report that Wade Baldwin planned to declare for the NBA draft?
Wade was in the meeting a few minutes ago. Wade had a number of questions, and Wade is enrolled in classes and is attending.
You said you had never said anything to the contrary about Kevin returning. Will Melanie return? We don't know her contract situation. Have you decided, or is there a decision to make?
Melanie is under contract.
Does being a consultant eliminate that person from being a candidate?
You mean, is Eddie a candidate to coach?
Yes, sir.
No.
Okay.
I hadn't thought about that.
David, what was the process between you and Kevin when he told you that he was receiving the job? Was there an effort to try and retain him as basketball coach here, or no?
We had already gone through discussions about, was this something he wanted to do? So when he called me to tell me that, it was not, I'm thinking about it, this was a decision he had made. And so he was calling to tell me I have been offered the job, and and I am going to take it. So no, there was not, what if? I mean, he had made that decision.
David, I'm sure people have contacted you. How would you describe the interest in this job from agents and coaches that have come to you and said, I'm interested?
I'm sorry?
How would you describe the interest that you've gotten from other people, like coaches and agents, saying, hey, put me on your radar?
Quite heavy. I'm sure that if I pulled out my phone now, there would be 3 or 4 of them. There's been, during just this time, I mean, there's been a lot. And much of them is, as I told the student athletes, it's everything from people who are speaking for head coaches to assistant coaches to people who are not, who have never been in coaching, to people who have been in coaching and are now doing TV work, all sorts of stuff. And for the most part, you actually have 2 things going on now. You have agents that are reaching out to you, and you have friends and fans that have suggestions. Right about now, you tend not to get direct contact from coaches. They will basically go to their agent or someone and sort of send the feeler out.
How many legitimate
And quite honestly, one other thing is, I appreciate that, because I really would not like to talk to a head coach without doing exactly what Pittsburgh did, notifying their athletic director.
Do you have a sense of how many current head coaches might be interested?
No, I don't.
One more?
Follow up on Melanie. You said she's under contract. Does that mean she is for certain going to coach this team next season?
Until I say otherwise.
Okay.
What, as far as an NCAA tournament benchmark, should fans expect from Vanderbilt? Should they expect it every year? Should they expect it every couple of years? I know you talked about an injury. That's kind of a freak situation. What should the expectation for fans and Vanderbilt in the NCAA tournament be?
Well, I think that what we're looking for is to have the best program that we have and to take the conference to become the best conference. So, if you look at what you saw this year in the NCAA tournament, and you saw an abundance of teams coming out of the ACC, and I don't know how deep it went into it, that is our expectations both for the SEC and for this university. And so I would like to see today when 14 teams in the SEC, there's 7 or 8 going. And I certainly would expect that we would be gone.
Thank you.
One more if you don't mind, is when Kevin got here in '99, it's a much different city, much different university than it was then. Do you get the sense this is a much better job now than it was then?
Yes.